Hi, my name is Kat Cartwright, and I am a PhD candidate at the College of William & Mary, just about to embark on my dissertation project titled Seen and Unseen Friends, American Youth and Internationalism from World War I through World War II. And this is Dr. Miranda Sachs, and she's a visiting professor here who also studies the history of childhood and youth, and we're going to do a little discussion about my project and some of the sources that I like to use in my research. So we're sitting in SWEM's Special Collections, which is the archive here at William & Mary, and we're sitting with the diary that really inspired my research project and that I like to use as a teaching tool in my classes. So this diary was written by Victoria Brown, who was a 14-year-old American girl who went abroad with her family in 1935, and she visited Italy and France, and she includes some really vivid drawings throughout her diary and some really rich descriptions of her interactions with others and kind of things that she observes. So at one point she goes to a fascist rally and she has these really awesome drawings of it, and the one drawing that I'm particularly interested in drawing our attention to is this drawing here. And this is a drawing that she did of her family. And you see that there are 4 figures. And I really like to use this as a teaching tool because I tell my students that Victoria Brown, who wrote this diary, is a 14-year-old girl. And I ask who or which of the figures is Victoria. And they always assume, which I don't know, which one do you think they assume?
Well, there's this cute little one on the side, but...
Yeah. So they always assume that the cute little one on the side is 14-year-old Victoria Brown. But if we look closely at the image, we see there's an M, a V, a D, and an S below each figure. So the M is for her mother, V is for Victoria, D is for her dad, and then S is for her little sister that she referred to as Sisa. So I really use this as a teaching tool to help my students learn how to kind of suspend their beliefs about children and youth in the past, and how in this particular image we see that 14-year-old Victoria, even though she's only a few years older than her sister, is wearing a dress that's closer to her mom. So yeah, it's a really great teaching tool in the class.
And so what are you going to be doing with this diary in terms of teaching?
Yeah, so in the fall, I'm teaching a course on youth cultures, and I'm really excited to use, I'm really excited about it. And there's actually quite a lot of teen diaries from the 20th century in special collections here. And so we're going to use those diaries along with yearbooks and students writing in order to make this kind of online archive of youth sources. And I'm really excited to do that with my students.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys produce. So tell me a little bit about how you found this diary.
Yeah, so I found this diary. I came into special collections a few times my first year, and I was just talking to the archivist about my interest in the history of childhood and youth. And they kind of brought it to my attention because it's a pretty popular diary here in special collections because of how rich it is as a source and how interesting students often find it. So then this diary brought me to other diaries here in special collections, also written by young people, specifically in the 1920s and 1930s. And so I was specifically drawn to some travel writing by other young girls, and that was a kind of a small project that I did my first year.
And now it's growing into a bigger project, so I want to hear a little bit more about that. How does this now fit into the larger dissertation?
Yeah, so in my dissertation, I really want to prioritize young people and their writing and their perspectives, specifically from World War I through World War II, and ask how they shaped projects aimed at cross-cultural interactions and internationalism. And so I think particularly Victoria Brown's diary really drew my attention to how important it is to use sources written by young people and produced by young people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's what I really try to do in my dissertation, and really get at their perspectives of cross-cultural interactions and their kind of descriptions of themselves in these interactions and how they chose to represent themselves.
And so taking these children's voices and starting to craft a narrative, how does this then fit into larger discussions about the history of childhood?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I really want in my work to kind of bridge the fields, the history of childhood and youth, and specifically the sources and methodologies of that field with the field America and the World, to kind of ask questions about U.S. expansion and how we need to include young people in our questions when we explore those topics.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that finished product as well. It seems like you have a lot of really interesting things going on. And imagine it just starts with a little diary and a couple drawings, and it creates a much larger, rich story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm really excited to work on it.